Welcome back. I'm Brooke Baldwin. New details are emerging here about the Obama administration's long effort to free Bo Bergdahl, and they raise myriad questions over whether a prisoner exchange would have happened if Hillary Clinton were still Secretary of State. Former officials involved in the process tell CNN that Clinton was skeptical of early plans to trade these 5 Taliban detainees at Guantanamo Bay for Sergeant Bo Bergdahl. They say she wanted a much tougher deal and that she was concerned the Taliban would not hold up their end of the bargain. The former officials describe an early framework for negotiations approved by Clinton, including a two-phase release, of the Gitmo detainees, 3 to be released initially, and then some 60 days later that the Taliban would hand over Bergdahl for the other 2 detainees. Also in the mix here, stricter supervision by the detainees in Qatar, and moves toward a wider reconciliation with the Taliban, including opening a Taliban office in Doha, Qatar, and getting the Taliban to renounce terrorism. The former officials also tell CNN there is no guarantee Hillary Clinton would have signed off on the prisoner swap in the end. So let's talk about this with our chief political correspondent and host of State of the Union, Candy Crowley. Candy, nice to see you.
Hey, Brett.
When it comes to the political implications here, the realities of this Bo Bergdahl release, do you think it would have even happened had Secretary of Clinton been Secretary of State?
Oh, man, I honestly don't even know if she could answer that. Why? Because as best I understand it from reading these, and remember, these are friends of hers, largely. They're saying, well, she was kind of against this deal and she wanted a bigger deal, et cetera, et cetera. As far as I know, these, from what I read, these talks or these discussions took place in 2011. We are much further along. One of the things that was pressuring this administration at this point is the pullout. We are a lot closer to a U.S. pullout. There was fear that the leverage, whatever leverage the U.S. had over the Haqqani network, which was holding Bergdahl, or over the Taliban, was fading because we had a timetable out there. The president said, you know, and by the way, everybody will be out by this time. So the circumstances are different. I will say that there was a lot of skepticism on Capitol Hill as well. You talk to the folks, Democrats and Republicans, who say, look, we haven't had these discussions for a while, but the truth is a lot of folks said, wait, this is a bad idea. So is it believable that Hillary Clinton was against the concept of this? Absolutely. That she wanted more from it than the Obama administration actually got out of it, like sort of a longer-term prospect for talks with the Taliban. She did, and that is totally believable. The question is whether the Obama administration thought we've run out of options, no amount of bargaining is going to get this out of them. Let's move now.
No, I understand that the pressures and the circumstances surrounding this in 2014 much different than perhaps 2011. Then the other bit of this is that the administration sent Susan Rice out to speak on their behalf on this very issue. And of course, we think of Susan Rice. We remember the outcry post Sunday show's Benghazi, the attack, spontaneous crowd reaction, not the work of Islamist militants. So she said so. So let me just play something Rice said Sunday on your show, Candy, about why Congress wasn't notified, to your point, before these 5 Gitmo detainees were traded for Bo Bergdahl.
The Department of Defense consulted with the Department of Justice, and given the acute urgency of the health condition of Sergeant Bergdahl, and given the president's constitutional responsibilities, it was determined that it was necessary and appropriate not to adhere to the 30-day notification requirement, because it would have potentially meant that the opportunity to get Sergeant Bergdahl would have been lost.
So she said appropriate not to notify, but then you have these phone calls, right, from Tony Blinken, the administration's deputy national security advisor, 2 nights ago, to these senators apologizing. I'm confused.
Yeah, well, exactly. I mean, this is number 2, Susan Rice is number 2, who calls Senator Dianne Feinstein. She's chairwoman of the Senate Intelligence Committee, says, I'm sorry, it was an oversight. It was an oversight that we didn't call you. But you have Susan Rice on TV saying, no, we checked with the Justice Department, and they said this was fine. So, listen, there are a lot of holes in this. You know, Bergdahl, we were really worried. We had to act quickly. He was really sick. That's yet to be proven and seems to be disproven by those who have seen him physically. and said, well, he walked out, he looked fine, we've seen the video. It doesn't mean he wasn't getting sicker or thinner or, whatever. So there's just a lot of holes in this along the way that it doesn't appear the administration knew they'd have to try and fill.
Well, there are holes that I'm sure in the coming weeks and months we'll be trying to fill. And Candy Crowley, thank you so much. We watch you on Sundays, State of the Union at 9 a.m. Eastern right here on CNN.